Bam! Jayson Waller here, True Underdog Podcast. Top 3 entrepreneur, motivational, inspirational podcast. You can find us on Apple, Google, your mom's podcast, your cousin's podcast, Uncle Vinny's podcast, Kevin, your podcast. We can find it anywhere, right? Top 3, we appreciate. Make sure you subscribe. Today's show is brought to you by Powerhome Solar. If you are interested in finding a career, go to powerhome.com/careers. We're always looking to add people in installation, customer care, sales, you name it, we've got it. I have got my business partner here, best friend, right-hand guy, chief marketing officer for Powerhome Solar, billion-dollar company we're running. What's up, Kev?
What up, what up?
What up, my man? So how you feeling?
Feeling good. Feeling real good. We're in December. Year's winding down. It's been a great year. Looking forward to 22 and beyond, though.
That's great. Well, look, I got this new how-to series that I'm doing, right? So we're putting these episodes out on how-to for young business owners out there, young entrepreneurs, young sales folks, anybody that's scaling or part of a business, upper management. We're trying to get these how-to things. And we're eventually going to write a book on some of the stuff that we're going over. But right now, it's for the podcast, and it's the how-to. And I did a few already, how to cold call, how to overcome objections. And listen, you and I feel like are the best salespeople on the planet. Ben would argue that he's up there too, so maybe it's the three of us. But, we have knocked doors. We have telemarketed. We've done it all. We have done it all. And so we know how to cold call. So I do want to cover a little bit about that. I do want to talk a little bit about overcoming objections because me and you have a different approach. I was educated on that recently from somebody where you're a very sweet, happy, funny salesperson, and I'm more of the as if you're missing out, aggressive salesperson. Both work, right? Both are important, but it's a different dynamic. And then I really want to get into how to. This one's going to be how to market, right? And how to cold call and how to market your business. That's what these episodes are going to be on this one. So we'll start with this cold calling. When did you first do your first cold call?
First cold calling would have been door to door in probably elementary school. I first started with finding whatever we were selling at school, fundraisers, things like that. And then in the middle school where I could actually make money.
Were you one of the top people fundraising?
I'd like to think. I was always up there. You always had some kids that.
I was the kid that didn't do it. I was like, I'm not going out to sell candy bars. That was me.
Yeah. Actually I had a coach who said, here's what you do. They're asking 50 cents. You just sell them for $1.
And you keep 50 cents.
Exactly.
That's crazy.
So I thought it was good advice.
Should you go back and pay those people back? Because it's been like 25, 30 years.
They got the candy.
Oh, yeah, I don't know, man. It's expensive candy, dog. Back in what, 87, 88? Telling you candy for $1. That shit was like 25 cents back then.
Yeah, but it was to help out a good cause.
Right. So after that, me and you actually knocked on doors to mow lawns. Remember that?
Oh, yeah.
5th grade, we're out there and we're selling golf balls outside, washing them and saying lemonade. We're out there hustling sports cards, right? Buying cards, opening packs, selling to other people.
Whatever we could find to hustle, we did. And, lawns, there's not many lawns in Phoenix. So
no.
Golf course was, that was a good paying job for a while. The lemonade, whatever we could do. Yeah, the cards.
We took that money. We went and bought baseball cards,
yes,
football cards, basketball cards,
hockey.
Right. Yeah, that's what we did. All right, so that's the era. That's the beginning, right? Since then, I remember, I had a podcast not too long ago called 25 Jobs Before I Was 25, right? And one of those jobs, I joined you in 97. When I came back out to Arizona and enrolled into high school, even though I wasn't supposed to back enroll because I already had a degree from, a vocational school.
You were there just for fun.
I was there just for fun, right? Manipulated the transcripts to go in there. Don't judge. And I just want to hang out with friends, right? They had said I had enough to graduate. It's fine. And I just want to hang out with buddies. And so I did that. And I saw that you were driving this brand new neon lowered on Dayton's, this all, OG
wire
vehicle.
Rims.
Right. Here I am with a 91 CRX hatchback and, a broken fender.
As everybody had in school. That was just normal. That was what everybody had.
Nobody had what you had.
No, I'm talking about what you had.
Yeah.
It was just,
a little less
your
than
first
normal.
car is supposed to look like.
Right. Then I was, what the hell, Kevin? You're like, man, I'm out there selling, home security.
Well, actually,
no, it was credit card protection.
Credit card protection.
Yeah.
And then home security.
Yeah. And so, some of those pitches, let's talk about. So I went and got a job with you, and I remember you were the top person, and then several times I beat you. We back and forth, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, 1 and 2, all the time, talking shit, like who's going to be the best. And then we decided to leave that, and went to home security.
Across the street. And
that was where really we would call. I talk about this pitch all the time. I don't know if you remember, but do you want to go ahead and do it? Go ahead. You're on the phone. Go ahead. I pick it up. You ready? Hello.
Hey, Jayson, this is Kevin Klink here. How are you?
I'm doing good. Thanks.
Oh, good. Hey, you probably remember.
Hey, I'm really busy.
Hey, this won't take long. This won't take long. You remember when you were back at Metro Center? This was back a few months ago. They had that brand new Ford Explorer right in the middle of the mall.
Yeah. Hey, did I win?
Look, hey, you're still in the running for the Explorer, but I did want to let you know you were selected to receive a free home security system. So congratulations to you.
Free home security system?
Absolutely, free of charge. So, hey, congrats to you. Of course, what we'd ask you to do is advertise for us. This is an advertising program. You were selected to receive that. So congratulations to you.
Oh, okay. Thanks. Is there a catch?
Well, no catch. The only thing you'll have to pay for is $1 a day for the monitoring, but it's an $850 home security system that you get for free. So again, congrats for that. You're still in the running for the Explorer, though.
Okay, great. And then you would schedule it. I remember because I went and did the same thing.
$29.99 a month.
Look, so back we were selling that in 97. Mm-hmm. That's how we did. That's before the internet. Right? That's before you can digital market, which is what we do now. That's before people were advertising on TV commercials. And, this was straight hustle, filling out forms at the mall. This company was Universal
Security.
Yeah. And they hired
Fox.
Yep. It hired kids out of high school to prospect. And dude, we were making like $500, $600, $700 a week.
Sometimes I think 1,000.
I didn't get that high.
Part-time.
It was part-time. Isn't that crazy? We left and made that. And the money back then, that was crazy. It's like maybe double now.
Yeah.
So fast forward. Well, let's talk about that pitch. So when you cold call, right, the approach is you want to make a friend, right? That's what you started with.
Yes.
You're like, hey, Jayson, how are you, right? Then when you're cold calling, first of all, you have to have confidence to cold call, correct?
Yes.
Why is it so easy, in your opinion, to cold call on the phone?
Well, you can be whoever you want to be.
Right? Bam! That's right? You've seen all the shows, Boiler Room, Wolf of Wall Street. You've seen all that nonsense, right? All those crooks. We're not that. I'm telling you, the point of the matter is you can be who you want to be on the phone. Explain that.
Well, look, if you want to be the guy in the office in the suit, wearing the 3-piece suit, or if you want to be the boss, whatever you want to be, you are on the phone. And guess what? When you hang up, it's on to the next, and you can be a totally different persona. It really depends on who you're speaking with. You want to mirror them. But really, for me, I always like to make sure I had a smile on my face.
Right.
And that doesn't just go with cold calling on the phone. That's in person. You got to get them to kind of laugh a little bit. You got to make fun of yourself. That's easier to do, on the doors, as we call it. But on the phone, it's about, being positive, having high energy. And for me, it was all about voice and fluctuation. You can't just la, 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 la. You got to emphasize it a certain way. Mm-hmm. And when you're pitching, hundreds a day, you're saying everything a certain way, emphasizing those words a certain way, because you're waiting for the response. You're making sure that you're controlling it, and Correct. You're wanting them to hear what you want them to hear.
Correct. And he or she that speaks first after that loses, right? So
exactly.
When you're like, all right, congratulations, you're just waiting.
Yep.
Just waiting.
And when it gets down to it, you assume the sale.
Right. So my pitch is very similar. I did the same kind of exact pitch where I would be, it said, congratulations. I'd be, congratulations. So when would you like my installer to come out? I'm like, I throw it in there, right? Punch him in the face, where you were like waiting and then the punch in the face. Other than that, we're very, very similar.
Oh, yeah.
Let's talk about this. So people shouldn't telemarket like that anymore. We've done that before. It's not good. Don't do that. But calling people and telemarketing is kind of a thing of the past, right? At least I believe so. Today's world, it's all about digital marketing. But before we get to digital marketing, there's a thing called door knocking. A lot of companies out there door knock, whether it be vacuum cleaners, whether it be pest control, whether it be home security, whatever it could be. You even got solar companies out there door knocking. We don't do any of the door knocking. We don't really believe in it right now. Doesn't mean we won't believe in it in the future. We don't think it's necessary. In 2021, I believe people have their cell phones. Everybody wants information now. There's no reason, in my opinion, for you to bother someone by the phone or knock on a door when they're making spaghetti for their kids, or they're doing homework, or they're getting ready to take a shower, or they're playing basketball in the backyard. Whatever it is, I'm a big believer, as I've evolved, and you have as well, because we have done the telemarketing, we have done beating the doors. Digital marketing is it. Like my recommendation, everybody, is you got to digital market. Yeah. Like you can still go out and door knock because it's the cheapest way to get deals, because you only pay people what they get, right? It's kind of like that Liberty. You only pay for what you get, right? Same thing if you sell deals. Great commercials. Not as good as the Powerhome, but they're good. No. But then, on telemarketing, that's just nonsense, right? Yeah, that was popular in the 80s, 90s, early 2000s, maybe early 2000s. Door knocking was popular 90s, 2000s, maybe 2010s. I think it's kind of phased out now, and everything's really digital marketing. The world's evolved. We've evolved. But maybe you're starting a new business, not you, but maybe a listener out there starting a new business, and they're like, how do I get this started? Well, the first thing is you've got to become your own salesperson. You've got to go and cold call and prospect. You have got to do it, whether you're picking up the phone, whether you're knocking a door, whether you're going to invest in some advertising to get somebody to contact you. That's what we do, and we do it very well. But that's because we've done the other stuff, and we've evolved to say, hey, how can we do digital marketing where people raise their hand and say, I want to know about solar? But I want to talk about door knocking, because door knocking is still a big thing somewhat out there. We don't do it. How would you, I remember when I came to work with you in security in 05, and then you came to work with me in 09. But when we started in 05, you had the record, was it 5 or 6 in a day?
Yeah.
And I beat that record with 7 on a Sunday?
Yeah.
But we would knock on...
No, you had 8, I had 7 that
That's
day.
what it was. So we would knock on doors and kind of the same pitch, like, hey, Mr. Klink, how are you? We'd like to get you a free system. I want some advertising. How many cars go by? Put the sign in the yard. You pay for the monitoring.
Free garage door opener.
Yeah, free garage door opener with it. All of that. That's door knocking. But let's talk about why door knocking is important. And I always talk about it's a number, right? You got to find out what your number is. And the average, what we saw in home security was 20, right? Somebody,
well, not for guys like us.
No. The average in home security was 20. They knocked on 20 doors, they get a deal. Our goal and where we usually sat was under 10. And we wanted to get to 6, 5, right? It was like, whoa, I knocked on 20 doors, I got 4 deals. So in order to do that, the same kind of personality that you have on the voice on a telemarketing call is the same kind of personality that you got to have knocking a door.
That's it.
But you got to have confidence.
Confidence is key.
So key.
And really, the other thing about door knocking is you got to find a way to just, I think my approach was get them to break down. So you got to make a joke, make fun of yourself, whatever.
Bring their guard down.
Yes.
I'm elaborating for the listeners out there. Everybody's got their guard up, whether even in our business, when they raise their hand, fill out a form, say, I want to learn about solar. And then we do this whole qualification and go over this and then send somebody out. They still got their guard up, right? The whole goal is bring that guard down, break them down. Go ahead.
Exactly. And you have to make friends with them. You have to get them to trust you and to like you. So, just like you hear, everybody talks about it, you have to find a way to get in and find something to talk about, or just refer to something if you're making fun of yourself or making fun of a situation or whatever you can find to get them to break down. Yeah, you just let that guard down and just start talking to them. Versus, a pitch. On the phone, it's verbatim. This is what you say. This is how you say it. But when you're on the doors, it's really about just having conversation with people. I loved when I found people outside. That's what I would target. Okay, hey, there's somebody out there doing yard work. They have nowhere to go. Yeah,
and we would do things like, hey, let me help you load that. Hey, let me, where do you want me to dig a hole? I'll dig a tree for you right now. But I need you to listen to what I've got going on, right?
I can't tell you how many couches I brought in because, my approach, and I think you too, to get out of the car and knock door to door to door, I never liked that. I like to drive.
But you started with that because you have to learn. Right?
You
have to learn.
But I think that, when they see a car out front, it's probably all psychological, just like door knocking in sales is. But I always felt like if I pulled up, they saw, okay, I'm not just going door to door to door. It made it more special, especially when I'm asking them to put the advertising out, put the sign out in front. I think that was something that I liked.
No, I agree. That does work.
Yeah. But yeah, it's about confidence. It's about having a smile on your face. It's still, again, going back to telemarketing. It's about voice fluctuations. You can't just la, 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 la. I see a lot of guys doing that, and it works. There's so many different approaches, but I like to have that voice go up and down, emphasize stuff, try to get them interacting versus just pitching them. And then, from there, we try to get in the house.
One of the tips I always gave people door knocking is never ask an open-ended question, right? We used to talk about this when we built our van teams, and we had van managers. I had Kenny in here talking about how to pitch and to scale that. You'd have people that weren't really good on the doors. They would knock, they would get semi-interest. They'd bring in the van manager to come close the deal, educate them, shake their hand, congratulations, and go through the process. One of the things that we used to talk about all the time in the meetings was, not only what your number is that you've got, here's your number, here's how you get there, but training on what to say and what not to say. And I always go back to like when you go into a place to buy clothes, right? Listeners, listen to this. You walk into a store and someone's like, hey, can I help you with something? You always say,
No, I'm good. I'm just looking.
Right. Every time. So if I go to somebody's house and I'm offering them security or solar or pest control, right? Whatever. If I say, is that something you want? Do you want to do business with me? When I ask them an open-ended question, the answer 9 times out of 10 is no. Yep. You're giving them an out. But when I ask a question that they have to give me a real answer, not yes or no, is there a place we can sit down and I can show you this? Right? It's a little different. Just like some of those people doing clothes are like, oh, you're a 34. Here you go. Try this on. Oh.
Yes.
Oh, okay. That's a lot easier to get the sale than, hey, can I help you with something? No, I'm looking. We always have that guard up. And if you can teach yourself out there to not ask open-ended questions, to where you're giving people an out. Remember, their guard's up. And if you give them a way to get off that exit, they're going to get off the exit. But if you want to keep them on that road, you got to ask them questions that are meaningful. Hey, who's your favorite football team? I saw you had a flag out there. Was that Clemson or was that Tennessee? Who was that again? Like, you got to get, like you said, make a friend, get that guard down, but you got to get them talking. They can't be saying yes or no's. Yes or no's never work out. You agree?
Agree. And you know, you talk about the teams. You got to know sports. You got to know some current events. I mean, unfortunately, a lot of the current events these days are all negative.
Right.
So you don't really want to go there with it. But sports are always a good go-to to get somebody talking and get them to let that guard down. That's key.
I think so. And I think if somebody offers you something, except alcohol or drugs, but if they're like, hey, do you want to taste this Danish? Or hey, do you want a Coke or water? You always got to say yes.
Every time.
Every time.
Alcohol's the exception. You got a lot of guys, oh, I'll have a drink. That's bad. A lot of bad things can happen. That's a liability.
Well, they're going to judge you. Like if I'm like, hey, you want a beer? And you're like, yeah. I'm like, I don't know if I really like that guy.
Well, here's the other thing you got to think about. I mean, looking at it from our company is that's the liability you have with door knockers. It's not just, you know, you take a drink. It's, you never know what they're going to say. And I mean, you know, one of the reasons.
That's why we got out of door knocking.
Yes,
we were burned.
It's a liability.
And, you know what I mentioned in the book, don't be held hostage. And what would happen when you're building a door knocking team. So all the listeners out there, if this is what you're doing, you get stuck because you'll get a top rep and then you got to deal with their bullshit, right? I want to be paid more. I sell more deals than Kevin. You should pay me $600 a deal and he's making $400.
Don't be held hostage.
Right. Don't be held hostage. That's bullshit. Build systems and process to where if a guy is that greedy or he's saying things he shouldn't, you can fire his ass and number 2 could become number 1 because you have a system and you have a product and you're selling, you know, you're not selling something. You're really educating and getting people to be excited about something and there's value. And when you build value in your brand and in your people, things happen a little differently than being held hostage to the top rep or the top. Like there's so many times we'd have to like negotiate with terrorists. Like, okay, this guy, you know, he's going to leave if I don't pay him this. Well, how fair is that to the other guy just started? It's not fair. You get paid more because you sell more. You don't need to get paid more per deal. You get paid more because you sell more. Here's the great news, Kevin. You're a sales rep for me. You have unlimited commission. Make all you want, sell all the deals you want. Well, I want to make more per deal. No, I pay everybody the same. You have to do it that way. Don't be held hostage. You're building a team. Don't deal with that nonsense. And integrity is everything. You know, our fear of door knocking and telemarketing is we want to be able to control what our people say. We don't ever want them to go on an island and say something that's inappropriate because they want to just sell a deal and they're struggling to make rent, whatever it is. We didn't like that liability you got with home security with some of our door knockers and telemarketing. So we cut all that out and we did digital marketing. A lot of people can't afford digital marketing, so you got to start somewhere. So we're trying to give you tips on the door knocking on how to really do that. Let's talk a little bit about digital marketing. We got a few more minutes here. I love it because, you know, you just scroll and go down. And I remember when we first started doing this, you know, when we built Powerhome Solar, we were like, all right, look, we learned all the telemarketing and door knocking at ISI. And then we learned all the door knocking and the being held hostage in relationships at Powerhome Technologies. How do we change that? And I remember saying, dude, I'm never going to be held hostage again. I'm never going to be in a business to where I have to kiss a sales rep's ass to stay with our company. And I'm never going to be in a position where a rep can lie and hurt our brand. Everything's going to be about our brand. Everything's going to be integrity driven and everything's going to be part of that mission. And we came up with BAM, building a movement, one panel, one customer, one employee at a time. And we did that. And we doubted it at first. How do we get there? Was digital marketing. We had to make an investment and we kept investing. Talk through a new company going into digital marketing. What do they need to look at? And talk about our history line, where we started, where we're at today.
Well, yeah, you know, at first, I think most companies are going to want to take that approach of door knocking to get the cash coming in, get some money to reinvest. Because, you know, you're not there to make money as an owner.
Oh, another tip, nugget here. Ready? I always tell people, you're opening a business, you're running a business, you're starting one. 3 things, three priorities to get paid. 1, you make money, you pay your people first, right? 2,
vendors.
You make money, you pay your vendors. 3, And 3, you reinvest. And they're like, when do I get paid? You don't. You keep reinvesting in your people and you work for the rainbow down at the end of the road. You got to quit being greedy. Too many of these entrepreneurs hoard the cash, pull it all out, and then guess what happens? They crumble, right? So go ahead. Didn't mean to interrupt you.
No, that's the thing is you have to be ready to reinvest for a few years. Go off payroll and never go on payroll for an extended time. But, when you find a marketing and you find the way that you can do things that works in your industry, you have to just start replicating that, double down, triple down, quadruple down, just keep on scaling that up, because then it means you have the gold. Your sales reps, you have the gold, you have the leads, and you can have them go sell your product. And it's for them, they're going to have a huge opportunity because they don't have to go out and knock doors. They don't have to go out and cold call. Like
they don't have to hunt.
They don't have
They're
to
farming.
Hunt. We're giving them the plate of food that they have to, of course, cook up and eat.
The seeds. We're giving them the seeds to put in the ground. We're not having to make them go out with a gun and go hunt for food.
But I think that the important thing is you have to do trial and error. You have to find what works. And then once you do, you scale it. Now it's always evolving. You always have to get
we were stuck with just 1 or 2 social medias. And now you're up to what? How many platforms?
30, 31, 32.
You're always trying new platforms.
Yes.
And how important, we do some media buys on TV and radio. How important does that play?
You have to create a brand. And I know you talk about that a lot is you have to have a brand. Otherwise you're just every other company. Whatever you're doing for us at solar, you don't want to just be every solar company. You have to brand yourself and make yourself the company in your area, your region, nationwide, whatever it is that you do. You have to have that national brand. So a lot of your investment
have to have an identity.
Have to have that identity. A lot of your investment, especially at first, is going to have to go heavy into that area. Otherwise, your sales reps aren't going to have a name, and you're just going to be the next company. Let me go check with another company. I've never heard of you. Can't have
credibility.
It really, really hurts.
Sales reps or field energy consultants, as we call them, educators, because we don't feel like they're selling anything. They're educating. That's another tip for people out there in 2021. You don't want to hire salespeople. You want to hire educators because people want to learn and then people want to make their own decisions. It's not like back in 2010 or 2000 where it's like, do you want to do this? You want them to be empowered to make a decision by going over all their objections early and making sure that you have a brand, that you're credible, your sales reps or field energy consultants or educators or whatever you want to call your people in whatever industry or business you're in, that they have the confidence to go in because they love the brand, they love the integrity, then they love what they do. And they don't have to overcome anything because of shortcomings of you not having a brand. That's why it's very key to reinvest into the brand.
Absolutely. And whatever it is that you do, just know that digital advertising, I think everybody understands it's 2021. We're going into 2022. People don't like the guys coming to your door, the mailers, this kind of stuff. It's going to work. But to really scale things, you have to be doing things digitally. It's the way to go.
I would agree. That buzzer went off, which means we have to wrap today's show up. Short. Well, I'm going to bring you back on either later this week or next week to either have a part 2 of this or to have a how-to follow up and continue digital marketing. But I appreciate you coming on, Kevin. That's a wrap here on the True Underdog. Bam! And that concludes another episode here on True Underdog. If you're interested in hearing more, make sure you subscribe at iHeartRadio, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or the YouTube channel. You can always visit TrueUnderdog.com, subscribe to all of them. Make sure you check out our newest episodes coming out on Mondays and Thursdays. True Underdog, baby. Bam!